All right, so today I want to talk about 10 tips to help you become a better parent. And, a lot of these can be applied to, different cultures and racial groups. But this is speaking from, my perspective being a black woman. All right, so we're going to break it down. All right, so number one is that starting from the beginning, before even having a child, you should, we need to be more careful about, who we choose to partner with and, who we're choosing to procreate with. So if it's a man or a woman that you can't see as a wife or a husband or a motherly type figure, then that's what you want personally. That's not somebody that you should necessarily be laying down with, especially unprotected, because then you run the risk of bringing a child into this world, with a person that you won't have to deal with for your whole life. So, that's the main thing that I would say, starting off before you even have a child is be careful with, who you decide to have a child with. That goes as far as, if you all are on the same page spiritually, mentally, financially, all of that. You need to take all of those things into consideration before being, with the person. Okay, number two is to, once the child's here, you want to make sure that you spend time with them. Spend that quality time with them. Don't always, get used to having a child be sat in front of a TV screen, playing a game, on the phone, on a tablet. You want to make sure that you're spending actual time with them. Make sure that you actually build that bond and know your child in and out. Just really understand them. And sometimes get down to their level and just, remember how it felt to be a child yourself. Because human interaction is important. I think a lot of us have lost, have forgot the value of that. We get so used to being in our phones and on our computers and stuff that we forget, how important it is to really interact with each other. That's how you build empathy, with each other. That's how you really know and build bonds with people. All right, number three is to, this one is big for our community, is to find alternative ways to discipline your child outside of whooping them. Because I think back to when I was a kid and how I used to feel after I got a whooping. I honestly used to hate my mom for whooping me. I would feel like that was so unnecessary. We didn't fix anything from you whooping me. It just made me mad at you, But every kid's different, but at the same time, I do feel like it's other ways, more effective ways to discipline a child from, instead of laying hands on them. If you actually talk to them, even when they're really young, my kids are really young, but I still can talk to them. They still can express to me in one way or another, what's going on with them. And most of the time when your child is acting out, and I won't say most of the time, I feel like every time your child is really, really acting out, it's a reason for it. Sometimes they're sleepy. Sometimes there's something else going on with them. They might be bothered, all type of situations could be happening. Say for instance, it's the other parent is absent. Your child might start to act out in certain ways, because of that. But you don't want to spank your child and get mad at them, for something that's outside of their control. You really talk to them and try to understand what's going on. Yeah, and that kind of goes into the next one. Is to respect your kid and respect their feelings. Everybody deserves to have their feelings validated. I used to hate that. I've seen in my community a lot of people would just look at a child like, oh, your feelings don't matter, or do it because I said so. Ooh, that used to make me so mad. They say, do it because I said so. Like, what? No, I need to understand why I'm doing something. You can't look at a child like they're not your equal, if that makes sense. Like, it's still a human being too. It's still a person that's going to grow into a person with feelings, emotions, all that good stuff. So you can't just basically just try to shut off their feelings. They want to have feelings. Anytime you try to stunt somebody's growth, emotional growth, anytime you do that, you throwing everything off course. So really just build that bond so that they can talk to you about anything, so that when they are going through things, instead of them going to their friends and getting wrong advice about certain things, they can just go to you, and feel comfortable enough to talk to you, instead of having this fear-based relationship where they feel like if they do something wrong, they gotta hide it, or they gotta run away from home, or they gotta find, other ways to deal with it. Yeah. Number 5 is to use a firm voice, but don't yell. Don't scream at them and yell. It's like, nobody likes to be yelled at. I feel like all of these tips can be applied if you just think about how it felt to be a child yourself. What type of parent would you have wanted to have? How would you wanted your parent to have dealt with you differently? Did you like when your mom came home screaming about you doing the dishes or not doing the dishes and stuff like that? Screaming about you not cleaning your room? It's other ways to do it. You talk to them, you set boundaries, and you do set consequences. If they don't do this, then this gets taken away. If they don't do right and they act out, then this happens. That's more effective than screaming and wasting a bunch of energy on nothing, because it's just going to make everybody agitated and on edge. You use a firm voice, but you don't need to yell. You don't need to disrespect them. You don't need to call them out their name. I know a lot of us single mothers in this community, sometimes we be frustrated about a whole lot of other things. And, a lot of people don't want to be honest about that, but we be frustrated that we're doing it by ourselves, frustrated, about a lot of things. But you can't take that out on your child, frustrated from working and spending so many hours, and then by the time you get off work, you don't even really feel like dealing with your child, but you have to have patience in certain things. You have to prioritize. It's your kid. That's a whole human being that you brought into this world. That should trump everything, the money, you can figure that out. You figure out ways to provide, but that's your child. You need to really focus on them, their needs, who they need you to be. You don't want to, I know situations like where a parent's been so overworked, so overstressed, that they came home and, abused the child, so bad that the child wasn't even able to go to school for a week. And it's like, it's sad, but it's like, it just shows you, like, we be so focused on providing and creating this certain aspect, of life for the child, that we don't even realize that we're lacking in the ways that, they really need us. Because what's most important is that you're there. They're not going to care about if you can get them this pair of sneakers, this toy, this PlayStation, all that. They don't really care about that. If you instilling the right things in them. What they really care about is you being there and that time that you spend with them. Yeah. All right, so the next one is, number 6 is co-parenting. If you're co-parenting, or if you are together and you have a difference of opinion, when it comes to certain things, raising your child, you want to make sure that you have a united front, because you don't want your child to hear you saying something, hear their dad or their mom saying something, and then they're like, well, mommy said this or daddy said this, and then they just able to infiltrate their little way in there and basically play you two against each other. So you want to have a united front with with each other, and have open communication with each other, and try to understand each other's point of view instead of talking at each other and being mad at each other. That goes for the co-parenting too. It's the same thing. You can't get anything done. You can't effectively you can't raise your children in a healthy way if you're always mad at their parent. You gotta let that hurt go and really realize this is really just about them and do what's best for them. Yeah. So, and that's another thing too. You don't want to ever badmouth your child's other parent, in front of them. That's a big no-no. That makes the child feel like they gotta pick sides. I know this for personal, experience. Like you feel like, all right, well, I know I had this relationship with this parent, but you told me they're this way. Like, so how am I supposed to feel? You don't even want to put that in your child's head. Just let them, even if they are a certain way, you let them form that opinion themselves. You don't want to tarnish your child's mind against their own parent. That's messed up. All right, number 7 is to, I guess that's kind of the same thing. I was saying to pick a good person to partner with. Make sure you're on the same page as far as diet, spirituality, health, all that good stuff. Religion. And make sure that you pick somebody who has healed from their past, trauma. Because if you are Black in America, if you're a descendant of slaves, you was raised in the hood, anything like that, you won't have some type of traumas that you're dealing with. Whether if you realize it or not, you need somebody who might not even have been all the way healed, but somebody who's at least started the process. Not somebody who thinks it's okay to smoke weed all day, every day, abuse people and do all type of stuff. Like, they really need to be working on themselves, and they need to be present enough to be able to raise a child with you. You can't make people into what you want them to be. Just because, y'all have this baby now, you expect them to be this, and that. You need to realize who you're dealing with before you actually even have the child. Like, and if they not what you need them to be, then you gotta go. You might have to just, raise a child by yourself. Or, get help from family members and stuff. But you can't, just as much as you wishing and stuff, like, you can't scream, you can't shame somebody into being who you need them to be. You just gotta accept them for who they are. Maybe in time they'll come along and end up being able to be a better parent. But, you're just wasting a lot of energy by trying to force them to be something they're not ready to be. All right, number 8 is to always pay attention to situations and people that your child is uncomfortable around. Don't ever try to doubt their feelings when it comes to this. Don't try to talk them out of it. Don't try to force them into being around somebody they don't want to be around. Sometimes kids don't always know how to express, why they feel a certain way around a person. Sometimes they feel like they'll get in trouble or something to happen. It could be anything. It could be abuse. It could be them being molested. It could be all type of stuff. But you don't want to force them to be in uncomfortable situations and around people that make them uncomfortable. What that'll do is it'll make them have like a distrust for their own feelings. Like, they won't even trust their own feelings. They'll feel like, they'll grow up being indecisive. They'll grow up feeling like, they just can't trust themselves to make good decisions if you always talking them out of their common sense, talking them out of their gut instincts. You know, they know why they feel the way they feel, whether if they're able to express that effectively to you or not. You know, they know that. So just always pay attention to situations like that where your child is uncomfortable. All right, number 9 is to allow your child to grow into the person they're meant to be. You don't want to get mad at them if they turn out to be, you know, something that you did not expect them to be. How can I say it? It's like, you gotta understand that even though you birthed this person or you know, raised this person, whoever's watching, you gotta give them time to grow, and you gotta realize that they've been exposed to things that, you know, you might not know. They've had their own experience. They've had their own life experiences to shape and mold them into who they are. You know, you'll never know every single thing about any person on this world. Like, you don't always know why people turn out the way they are. You know, so you really just have to give your child time and space to grow into, you know, who they're supposed to be. You know, I even have to catch myself with this, you know, like with my son, like not like in a bad way, but I just be like, wow, like when did he learn that? Or where did he learn that? Like they have a different mind than yours. They're going to grow and learn certain things. They're going to learn and pick up things. And on top of that, it's a different world. The world changes, generations change. And certain things come easier to, you know, different generations, you know. So you just want to let them grow into who they're meant to be. All right, number 10 is to be kind to yourself and have self-care. You know, make sure you have some self-care time. You know, that's where I'm at right now. You know, I've had to realize that you have to have time to regroup and actually know who you are outside of being a parent. You can't just be one thing all the time and then, you know, you don't know who you are. Like they say, you have to be good to yourself. You have to be able to be 100% so that you can be good for somebody else. You want to make sure you have a life, you know, outside of your kids, and, you know, just really be kind. Don't be hard on yourself. You know, I have a habit of doing that, thinking that everything should just be perfect. It's never going to all be perfect. No matter how you try to plan something to the T and try to secure every detail of your life, things happen sometimes. Like, and you just have to be okay, and you have to learn how to maneuver through those situations. And it's okay. You know, it's okay. Life is a whole experience. You don't have to always be perfect. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. That's just my 10 tips to become a better parent. You know, just based off my experiences, my family members' experiences. And, you know, hopefully it helps somebody out there. All right, it's your girl Melody signing out. Y'all can like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, see y'all later.